Hello and welcome to another episode of From 10 to Win. This is where we look at a market category and see how a challenger brand might be able to improve their positioning to take on the market leader. And we do this using our AI positioning and messaging app, SmokeLadder. This episode, we're looking at AI copilots used for content creation. Looked on G2 and saw who some of the market leaders were. Saw Jasper.AI up there. Then went a little further down the page to find a challenger brand, and we found Scalenut. So we're going to see how Scalenut might be able to improve their positioning to better take on a market leader like Jasper. Okay, we can start off by looking at Jasper's homepage here. They've got their big headline, Marketing Revolutionized by AI. It's a little broad for my taste. I would rather it have something a bit more specific about how they do that. But I do like their subheadline here where they talk about the tool being for enterprise marketing teams who want better outcomes, not just faster outputs. This is an idea that they've been leaning into for a while. And I think at this moment in time, it's particularly important with some of the shifts around Google and their algorithm, which we'll talk about more in a few minutes. Let's jump over to Scalenut's homepage. We can see their, menu. See their rotating headline here, scale traffic, scale conversion, scale demand from search. Scalenut's value prop really centers around being an SEO tool. You can see their subheadline, AI copilot that powers the entire SEO content lifecycle. All right, so let's analyze these sites and see how they compare with each other. We can see our homepage here for our app, find out exactly where your B2B brand can win. That's what we're trying to do right now. So we already ran an analysis of Scalenut. We can see their total positioning score here. And then down here, we can see the 24 points of value that we grade every website on a scale of 1 to 10. Over on the right, we can see where Scalenut scored the highest. So scalability makes sense given their focus. Inform, marketability, quality, reach, innovation. Those all align with what we would expect. Now let's come over to the differentiation tab. And we can see here how they compare against category averages. These are category averages that we calculate inside our app. And we can see how Scalenut compares against those. We can see where they have some good separation around generate revenue, inform, marketability, quality. If we come down here, we can see all the descriptions for why they got the scores that they did. And then the highlight points, some of what we just mentioned, scalability, marketability, generate revenue, lower cost. Those all align with some of the messaging that we saw on their site. But let's come down here and we can compare and contrast Scalenut with Jasper.AI. And this chart is showing us the fingerprint of each of these sites, their fingerprint of value. If we move left to right, we can see some points where in orange, Scalenut is a little higher, generate revenue, inform, marketability. And then the blue, we can see some points where Jasper scored higher, integrate, come over here, reduce effort, reduce risk. It's a point I want to come back to in a minute. If we scroll down, we can see all the descriptions for both sites, why they got their individual scores. And then down here, the highlight points. So on the left, we've got the points where Scalenut had the best separation from Jasper.AI, which are their strengths. And then in the red, the weaknesses are essentially where Jasper scored higher or had more separation from Scalenut. So Scalenut's strengths, reach, marketability, scalability, generate revenue. These all align with their value prop around SEO, organic content, organic reach. And then Jasper has some strengths around integrate and reduce risk. So this was a point that I really wanted to call out because at a time, like we were saying, where Google is really shifting how they treat AI generated content, they just recently released a big update around this. And specifically, they are going to be punishing, in a sense, sites that lean too heavily or abuse AI generated content. And I think this is something that these brands, both Jasper and Scalenut and a bunch of other companies, really need to take note of and think about how they talk about this point. a lot of times we think about reduced risk being a little more focused around things like security. But in this case, reducing risk might mean, how does the company help protect brands from abusing certain types of content that might get them in trouble with Google or other search platforms? Let's jump back over to Jasper's site for a second, because I want to just take a quick look at one of the ways that they address this. If we come down here, we can see they put this really nice emphasis around how they integrate your brand's positioning, your company strategy, voice and style guide, all things to help create content that's very specific to your brand and not just generating generic stuff that you would put out, that you would essentially just automate and publish and potentially then get in trouble for. I want to come over now to Scalenut's site. Again, their whole focus here is around scale and reach. And we can come down here. They've got some impressive stats, 5 million SEO blogs created. That's a lot. And then walking through some of their features around the SEO platform, how they help you create SEO content that ranks, auditing, analysis. But this is the piece I really wanted to focus in. Write SEO-friendly blogs in less than 5 minutes. This is the type of message that I would be concerned about. And this is where I think that reduce risk message or point of value really comes into play, where a brand or a product like Scalenut needs to be thinking about how their customers might inadvertently or intentionally abuse some of these tools and end up hurting them, in SEO and organic reach, the exact thing that they're trying to provide value around. They might end up giving them tools that actually hurt them in the long run. So I think a brand like Scalenut really needs to think about their positioning in this case and take some notes from a brand like Jasper and see how they're talking about these things in maybe a slightly more safe or responsible way. And just help guide your users, help guide them to understand that these tools can all be extremely powerful, but let's think about how they can elevate the work and not just automate the work. So that's kind of like the big takeaway here is I think they could focus a little more on this reduce risk value point to really help improve their positioning at this exact moment in time where the market is shifting and the rules are shifting and how Google and search handles AI content is shifting. These are just some initial thoughts. Take a look on our site and analyze your own site, analyze some competitor site, see if you can uncover some places in your own positioning to help you better take on a market leader.